KWT slaying.
Salama family, salama, how y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. We're gonna talk about Proverbs and African tradition during this Black History Month. I was listening to Sister E channel right before I came on, and I'm like, okay, I ain't got to say much else. But we're gonna talk about African traditions, and some of y'all, some of us who make it out past the sword, gonna experience some of these African traditions, which is Israelite traditions. Ignore the 12 tribes chart, please. All right. So, and I'm not gonna be too long today. I don't know. We may have to talk about what's happening later on tonight. I don't know. Sister E says she might come back on. We'll see. Uh, interesting times. Interesting times. All right. So Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. Now, I went ahead and I asked AI, right, chatbot, you know, chatbot smart. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to call chatbot today, but I ain't even got to Google no more. I just go there and say, hey, chatbot, right? So I asked chatbot, I say, hey, chatbot. He say, what, Yacoba? I say, hey, chatbot, what's the definition of heritage? Heritage refers to the cultural and historical legacy, traditions, beliefs, values, knowledge, and practices that are passed down from one generation to the next within a community or society. This includes tangible and intangible elements such as landmarks, monuments, artifacts, stories, customs, languages, music, and cuisine. Heritage is often considered as a representation of a group's identity and helps to shape the collective memory of cultural continuity of a community over time. The concept of heritage can be applied to individual families, communities, ethnic groups, nations, and even humanity as a whole. So, a lot of times I will tell y'all, you have to put the pieces of the puzzle together, right? And I would say, look at everything the Bible says and compare everything the scripture says to all of the traditions and the heritage and the prophecies and all these things. And you know what? It only fits the Negro. When you put all of it together, all of the traditions, all of the heritage, all of the stories, everything that the Bible talks about, it only applies to the Negro. And so when you put all of the pieces together, you can't deny the fact that we the people. I mean, it's not really an argument anymore. I think everybody knows this. But, you know, the video that I did in the past that says we're the people and you can't prove we're not, right? And we are the people, and you can't prove we not. And so, once again, the Proverbs is an African tradition. This is why you see it in your Bible, right? This is why I told you, I said the Bible is an African book. The Bible is what? Black history. So instead of having a Black History Month, let's just talk about the Bible, shall we? Because it's Black history. And the Bible says you're going to discontinue from your heritage. What? You're going to discontinue from your artifacts, your stories, your customs, your languages, your music, your food. Did that not happen to us? Yes or no? Yes or no? Did that happen to anybody else? Come on now. They keep telling us, y'all Black folks, y'all identifying as Israel because you don't know who you are. You know, y'all just a bunch of lost descendants of former slaves. Y'all trying to take somebody's identity. But we have all of the prophecies that point to us. We have all of the traditions that go back to Africa, right? We can tie ourselves back to the Limba and the Bantu tribes. We can do all of this and put it all together, and it all lines up. And I'm just saying, you can't argue with it. So we're in Black History Month, and we're going to talk about Black history, which is the Bible. Once again, I talked to Chatbot. I said, hey, Chatbot. I said, what's an African proverb? Chatbot said, look, you're cool, but stop it. Go look it up yourself. African proverbs are a rich part of African culture and tradition, and they often reflect the wisdom and values of African communities. They are often used to convey moral lessons and provide guidance on how to live a good life. Can we say Bible? Can we say Proverbs? Come on now, really? African proverbs are often brief and pithy, and they can be profound in their meaning. Some well-known African proverbs include, it takes a village to raise a child, an elephant does not die of one broken tusk, and a bird does not sing because it has an answer. It sings because it has a song. African proverbs often reflect the importance of community, wisdom, and perseverance in African culture. Some of y'all coming in late say, what are you talking about? I'm saying the Bible's Black history. The proverbs you read in the scriptures is African proverbs. I ain't got to prove nothing today. I'm just sharing. Africa's proverb of the day. Proverbs are an integral part of African culture, passed on from what? Generation to generation. What? For centuries. They are still in wide use today and are very much part of everyday speech. It is passed on from generation to generation. The scripture says you're going to discontinue from your heritage, your culture, your traditions, your legacy, your customs. Proverbs are used to illustrate ideas, reinforce arguments, and deliver messages of what? Inspiration, consolation, celebration, and advice. Come on now. Have y'all read the book of Proverbs? If you have, give me a one. Have you read the book of Proverbs? I'm just saying. The great Nigerian author Chua Achebe once wrote, Proverbs are the palm oil with which words are eaten. So we have Proverbs in what we call canon, in what we call the Bible, which has been what? Europeanized in its translation. It has been Europeanized. in its translation. The Bible is an African book, which is why you have what? Polygamy or polygyny. Come on now, really? Come on. I already showed you the Africans doing the same thing that they did when Yeshua was riding on a donkey, and they threw all of those, palm branches on the road. I'm just saying they do that. See, the Bible's Black history. Proverbs, biblical Proverbs is African Proverbs. The Bible was written to who? Black folks. Oh, Yacoba, you just making it racial. You're talking skin doctrine now. No. I'm talking about people who had a covenant with their God. I'm talking about a people who the Most High wrote a book to and said, look, y'all going to do this and I'm going to do that. If y'all do this, I'm going to do that. If y'all don't do this, you're going to captivity worldwide. That happened. Because our people stiff-necked. Some of y'all still stiff-necked. African Proverbs. What's a proverb? A proverb is a brief, simple, traditional saying that gives advice based on practical experience, often in the form of a metaphor or allegory. Proverbs are popular in spoken language and form part of the folklore of a culture, passing down the generations. Many African proverbs reference nature, the earth, and animals, giving pearls of wisdom through the metaphors of everyday activities and objects. The selection below comes from a right across the African continent. While most of the proverbs are specific to countries or ethnic groups, there are a number that are of unknown source and are simply African proverbs. A rooster is not expected to crow for the whole world. A woman is never old when it comes to the dance she knows. All errors are amenable. Birds sing not because we saw this, not because they have answers, but because they have songs. By crawling, a child learns to stand. Discord between the powerful is a fortune for the poor. Ears that do not listen to advice accompany the head when it is chopped off. Even the best dancer on the stage must retire sometime. Family names are like flowers, they blossom in clusters. Fear no forest because it stems. African Proverbs, 300 inspirational proverbs and quotes, the wisdom of African Proverbs. Here's a list of African proverbs from around African continent. Some are known to come from specific African tribes, ethnic groups, or African countries, and others have an unknown source that are listed simply as African proverbs. Some proverbs are romantic, some thought-provoking, and some perhaps a bit lost in translation. The Most High said you will discontinue from your heritage, which is why you didn't know this. Now, many people, many of our brothers and sisters on the continent, they know this. Well, they know what an African proverb is. Part of the culture. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Supposing doesn't fill the grain basket, it doesn't fill the larder. There are no shortcuts to the top of the palm tree. All monkeys cannot hang on the same branch. Those who are absent are always wrong. God has created lands with lakes and rivers for man to live, and the desert so that he can find his soul. Do not allow the belly to make you useless. Little by little, grow the bananas. If you overtake a leader, you break your neck. The big game often appears when a hunter has given up the hunt for the day. That's an Igbo proverb. A clever king is the brother of peace. Do not call to a dog with a whip in your hand. "150 of the best African proverbs about life, love, family that are full of poetic wisdom." As young as 6 years old, many children living in Africa are taught Proverbs to help them navigate through many of life's challenges. So, why do we read the book of Proverbs? Why do we read that? Why? It has wisdom, right? How to what? Navigate life, right? Many African proverbs about life and wisdom are tied to the earth and the animals who inhabit it and who inhabit it to convey daily life lessons and procedures. Some proverbs are romantic, some are comical, and some are thought provoking, and some are what we would call what religious because they talk about their God and they talk about their relationship with their God and how to please their God. Here's a list of African proverbs about life, love, and family from around the continent. Some are known to come from specific tribes, ethnic groups, or countries. Can we say your heritage? Choose your favorites as a monthly mantra, an inspirational quote for your vision board, or just some ancestral insights to get through the rest of your week. African proverbs about life. A bird that flies off the earth and lands on an ant hill is still on the ground. Only a fool tests the depth of a river with no feet. Examine what is said, not who is speaking. If you want to know the end, look at the beginning. If you want to know the end, look at the beginning. Does that not sound familiar? Knowledge is a garden. If it isn't cultivated, you cannot harvest it. Knowledge is a garden. If you do not cultivate it, you can't harvest it. A roaring lion kills no game. In other words, you're talking too much. You can't do nothing about it. Right? Stop talking. Step up. Do not look where you feel, look where you slipped. Restless feet might walk you into a snake pit. No shortcuts exist to the top of a palm tree. When two elephants fight, it is the grass that gets hurt. Tomorrow belongs to people who prepare for it today. No medicine exists that can cure hatred. All monkeys cannot hang from the same branch. He who digs a grave for his enemy might as well be digging it for himself. Does that not sound like the Bible to you? The ones who dig a pit for you gonna fall in it? Come on now. Even the lion protects himself against flies. However long the night, the dawn will break. If you heal the leg, a person, do not be surprised if they use it to run away. The axe forgets, but the tree remembers. Yep, we remember when they put the axes to our tree. Once you carry your own water, you'll remember every drop for real. Don't set sail on someone else's star. To try and to fail is not laziness. Seeing is different than being told. No matter how beautiful and well crafted a coffin might look, it will not make anyone wish for death for real. Wood already touched by fire is not hard to set alight. Confiding a secret to an unworthy person is like carrying grain in a bag with a hole. That's why I don't tell some of y'all nothing, right? A feeble effort will not fulfill the self. Having a good discussion is like having riches. Don't think there are no crocodiles just because the water is calm. Just because we got peace don't mean nobody not plotting for you, right? He who refuses to obey cannot command. Why you call me Lola? Do not what I say. How you gonna rule with me if you don't do what I say? I'm just saying, let's continue. Do not call a dog with a whip in your hand. One falsehood spoils 1,000 truths. For real. For real. One falsehood spoils 1,000 truths. That's why I be warning y'all about all the false prophets, false teachers, and all of these people, right? Because once you realize they liars, you ain't gonna listen to them no more. They can't tell you nothing no more. That's why some of y'all can't tell me nothing, because y'all liars, right? The earth is a beehive. We all enter by the same door. Rain does not fall on one roof alone. However far a stream flows, it doesn't forget its origin. If you think you're too small to make a difference, try spending the night with the mosquito. If there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do no harm. For real. How many times we say that the biggest opposition to Israel is Israel itself, and these fake Israelites who want to be Israelites, who may be Edomites? I'm just saying the biggest obstacle to the awakening is our own people or who claim to be us, right? Some of them claim to be us. The eye never forgets what the heart has seen. No person is born great. Great people become great when others are sleeping. When an old man dies, a library is burned with him. I like this one. I like this one. When an old man dies, a library is burned with him. African proverbs about love. Truth should be in love and love in truth. When you marry a monkey for his wealth, the money goes, but the monkey remains. Where there is love, there is no darkness. It is better to be loved than to be feared, for real. When one is in love, a cliff becomes a meadow. He who loves, loves you with your dirt, for real. My wife loves me with all my faults. If love is a sickness, patience is the remedy. To love someone who doesn't love you is like shaking a tree to make the dewdrops fall, for real. If the full moon loves you, why worry about the stars? That's it. If one person loves you, who cares about the rest? Don't be so in love that you can't tell when it's raining. Yep. In other words, pay attention to what he doing or she doing. Don't be blinded by your love. Even as the archer loves the arrow that flies, so too he loves the bow that remains constant in his hand. I like that one. Love, like rain, does not choose the grass on which it falls. Do not treat your loved one like a swinging door you are fond of. You are fond of it, but you push it back and forth. Love doesn't listen to rumors. One who loves the vase loves also what's inside. One who marries for love alone will have bad days but good nights. Love for something makes a man blind and deaf. Let your love be like the misty rain coming softly but flooding the river. The quarrel of lovers is the renewal of love. Don't try to make someone hate the person he loves, for he will go on loving, but he will hate you. If a woman doesn't love you, she calls you brother for real. Can we say friend? Oh, you're my friend. Oh, you're in that friend zone. If a woman doesn't love you, she calls you brother. Hey, brother. Oh, yeah. That's why some of y'all, let me stop. Let me move on before I get in trouble. Love is a despot who spares no one. Love doesn't rely on physical features, for real, because beauty fades. If you marry a woman for her body and for her face, when she get older and that's gone, what you gonna have then? If anyone makes you laugh, it is not always because they love you. You know who you love, but you can't know who loves you for real. But you really can know who loves you by how they treat you and what they do to you over the years. My wife loves me. My wife looks out for me. And even in my bad days and when I'm in a bad mood, she'll ignore my faults. My wife loves me. I got a good wife. I'm a blessed man. Oh, yes, I'm a blessed man. Love is a painkiller. I'm a blessed man. I told y'all that. I got a good wife. God done blessed me with a great wife. Ain't too many people could put up with your code, but y'all know me for several years. Y'all know how I am. I'm not easy to get along with, but my wife know how to deal with me. I tell my wife, I say, you know how to deal with me. See, my wife don't argue with me. She might ignore me and walk away if I get in my mood, and then I calm down and come back and apologize. See, my wife don't just sit there and start blowing shots at me back and forth and contending with my ego. No, that ain't gonna work. She know how to handle me, and my wife always wins in the end, most of the time. All right, let's look at this right quick.
Hello and welcome. Yamamuna Kwaba. Let's get started. He who hath patience can dissect an ant and see its intestines. How I understand. If you have patience, you can do what others describe as impossible. 我寂寞 Wowɔ abotire a wodwa ntateɛ ho ne nso no, sɛdeɛ mesi te aseɛ fa ni, abotire wie nkonimdie. In English, family property is always licked and not eaten outright. How I understand. If you have family property, you don't have to sell it, since it does not belong to you personally, but rather you can invest it and reinvest the interest for your own interest. Wɔtwi mu, abusua agyapadeɛ yɛnni na mmom yɛtafere ho. Sɛdeɛ mesi te aseɛ fa ni, ɛnam sɛ ɛyɛ abusua agyapadeɛ nti, wonni ho kwan sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ wokɔtɔn, na mmom ɛwɔ sɛ wohwɛ so na ɔnya ho mfasoɔ. In English, what an old man can see while sitting, a child cannot see, even if he climbs a tree. How I understand. Wisdom is acquired through life's experiences, through silence, and through observation over a period of time, and not in strength through excessive talking or fluctuating desires. Wɔtwi mu, adeɛ a ɔpanin te hɔ a wobɛhu no, sɛ akwaraa fodua gyina so koraa a ɔnhu. Sɛdeɛ mesi te aseɛ fa ni, ɛnam ɔpanin no asua ho no nti, onim nneɛma a sɛ akwaraa yɛ a ɛbɛkɔ akɔwie noɔ. In English, a lonely tree cannot survive the storm. How I understand. It is okay to accept help if the pressure is unbearable, because no one is an island. We need each other to survive. Wɔtwi mu, dua korɔ ngye mframa a ebu. Sɛdeɛ mesi te aseɛ fa ni, ɛbɛyɛ papa sɛ yɛbɛgye mmoa sɛ nneɛma wɔ abrabɔ mu yɛ den a, ɛfiri sɛ yɛn nyinaa yɛhia yɛn ho. In English, two heads are better than one. How I understand. There is power in mastermind. If two or more minds meet, there is an unseen force that can make anything happen, good or bad. Wɔtwi mu, tikorɔ nkɔ agyina. Sɛdeɛ mesi te aseɛ fa ni, adwen nni baakofo tirim. In English, when you see someone's beard on fire, fetch water beside yours. How I understand. Always learn from other people's bad experiences. Don't wait for something bad to happen to you. Wɔtwi mu, sɛ wohu sɛ obi abɔdwe sɛ ahyia a na wasɛ nso asi wo deɛ ho. Sɛdeɛ mesi te aseɛ fa nie, wɔ abrabɔ mu no, sɛ wohu sɛ obi akɔ ahokyere mu a, hwɛ na sua biribi firi mu. Mɛntwɛn ma ne mmɛto, ɛfiri sɛ abrabɔ ɛyɛ adesua. In English, if a dog ignores its food, it doesn't mean it wants a chicken to come for it. How I understand. No matter how upset you are of a close family member, you wouldn't want others to mistreat them. Family will always be family. Wɔtwi mu, sɛ ɔkraman mpɛ n'aduane a, ɛnkyerɛ sɛ akokɔ mɛfa nkɔ.
So this is a
Sɛdeɛ mesi
con.
te aseɛ fa ni, sɛ wompɛ wo nua bi asɛm mpo a, ɛnkyerɛ sɛ abɔntenso ni mmɛmmrɛ ha no, ɛfiri sɛ abusua ɛyɛ abusua. In English, it's not the day that when you throw stone across a body of water will you feel its impact on your own body. How I understand? Always practice good habits, because it's not the day that you activate bad habit will be the day that you see its effects in your life. Example, it's not the day that you start smoking will be the day that you have disease in your body. Wɔtwi mu, ɛnyɛ da a wobɛto wɔ atwa so fra wo, ɛna ɛho mpafe ɛbɛso wɔ. Sɛdeɛ mesi te aseɛ fa ni, ɛnyɛ da a wobɛda esu bi adi, ɛna wobɛhu ɛho nsonsansoɔ. Ɛbɛgye mmerɛ. Nti abere biara hwɛ sɛ nneɛma a woyɛ no, ɛho nsonsansoɔ no ɛbɛyɛ papa ama wo daakye. In English, a word to a wise is enough.
I'll just stop it right there. So that was, Twee, the Khan language from the Ashanti. And, That's their Proverbs. And so we're going to talk about Proverbs in the Bible. All right. So Proverbs aims to teach us biblical wisdom. Is that not what we're learning here in the African Proverbs? Which is the skill of understanding and navigating the broken, sin filled world around us by conforming ourselves to God's pattern for creation. Solomon, the son of David, is the primary author and or collector of the Proverbs within Proverbs, and the Bible certainly paints him as being qualified. After becoming king of Israel, 1 Kings 3:3-15 tell of God's appearing to Solomon in a dream, asking what he desired. The young king asked, I'm going to just use Yahuwah. The young king asked Yahuwah for wisdom to lead Israel, which was a wise request itself. From then onward, Solomon became known for his great wisdom, so that people from all over the earth came to hear his words. 1 Kings 4:34. Can we say Proverbs? With his understanding, Solomon spoke 3,000 proverbs and composed 1,005 songs. Many of those proverbs are no doubt within this book. Why? Because it is an African book. The Bible is an African book, and I dare anyone to challenge that. But Proverbs is not the sole work of Solomon. The book as we have it today was not complete until more than 200 years after Solomon's death. We know this because King Hezekiah, one of Judah's most godly kings, compiled more of Solomon's Proverbs about a dozen generations later. We know nothing about Lemuel and Agur, nor of the anonymous authors. Thus, the Proverbs began to be composed with Solomon, was still being compiled in Hezekiah's day. It might have been finished as late as the Babylonian exile. This vast time frame should remind us that Yah's wisdom transcends the ages, speaking and guiding whomever has ears to hear. Purpose. The purpose of the book of Proverbs is what? To teach us to know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Proverbs aims to increase the learning of the wise and to give guidance to the one with understanding. This book wants to make us wise, to give us the skills and understanding to navigate life in a way that pleases Yah. So when Proverbs tells you, hey, the law is good, right? The Christians say we ain't under no law. We don't have no law, right? You might not be under the law, but you still got a law, right? There's a lot of wisdom in the scriptures on how to navigate the world. So how can you navigate the world without the law? How can you navigate society in this Luciferic world order without the words of the Most High? Somebody make it make sense. Do you just go off of faith to navigate the world? When the law is a light unto your path? Principles for understanding Proverbs. Proverbs can be a very difficult book to understand well. So before we begin our dive into the book, here are a few principles to keep in mind while studying Proverbs. First, Proverbs is divided into two major halves. The first half, chapters 1-9, are an introductory course on biblical wisdom, with Solomon writing to us readers as a father teaching his son. Although these paternal speeches form the bulk of the first 9 chapters, we are also treated occasionally to speeches from Lady Wisdom. Because of this teaching pattern, it is important for us to approach these chapters as students ready to learn wisdom from experts. Second, Proverbs are principles, not promises. Many parents can testify that Proverbs 22:6 does not always happen. Proverbs show us how things should work within Yah's creation, but they are not guaranteed. Ecclesiastes and Job show us how biblical wisdom is applied to these situations when life goes against what we expect. Third, Proverbs cannot make us wise, only Yah can. Even though Proverbs is the book of biblical wisdom, they cannot make us wise themselves. We must rather pray for Yah to use his word to make us wise. But without his illumination, these words will never change or impact our hearts. That's true. That's true. Fourth, Proverbs are not life hacks to apply immediately. They require wisdom to use properly. Too many people think Proverbs as being full of sayings they can be grabbed without context. Yep, they do it all the time, and applied to life's various situations. This approach fails to realize the importance of Proverbs, using 9 chapters to introduce the concept of wisdom before launching into the Proverbs themselves. In fact, Proverbs speak against trying to use these wise words without wisdom. Like a lame man's leg, which hang useless, is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Can we say African proverbs? Or like a thorn that goes up into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Fifth, there are multiple types of literature within Proverbs. Verse lists 4 types of literature with Proverbs. Proverbs sayings, words of the wise, and riddles. Proverbs are the bulk form of literature present in the book. Most often, Proverbs are composed in a parallelism format, meaning they have 2 lines that reflect upon each other. There's plenty of debate over what exactly sayings and words of the wise refer to. You know why they have some trouble sometimes interpreting Proverbs? Because proverb is an African saying, it's an African tradition. So a lot of those proverbs comes from a African viewpoint. Proverbs 22:17 begins a section of 30 sayings that are called the words of the wise. So maybe the 2 terms are generally interchangeable. Most commentators agree that riddles within Proverbs refers to texts like Proverbs 30:18 and 19. 3 things are too wonderful for me. 4, I do not understand. The way of the eagle in the sky, the way of a serpent on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, and the way of a man with a virgin. These are obviously not riddles as we have them in the English language. Instead, there are sayings that are purposefully ambiguous, and we are meant to search out their meaning, which is African traditions, right? I told y'all this was not going to be very long. So let's read this and we'll come to an end. Proverbs 2, moral benefits of wisdom. My son, if you accept my words and store up my commands within you, turning your ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understanding. Indeed, if you call out for insight and cry aloud for understanding, and if you look for it as for silver and search for it as for hidden treasure, then you will understand the fear of Yahuwah and find the knowledge of our God, or Elohim. For Yahuwah gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He holds success in store for the upright. He is a shield to those whose walk is blameless. For he guards the course of the just and protects the way of his faithful ones. Then you will understand what is right and just and fair, every good path. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will protect you, and understanding will guard you. Wisdom will save you from the ways of the wicked men, from men whose words are perverse, who have left the straight paths to walk in dark ways, who delight in wrongdoing. Doing wrong. Can we say all of those entertainers and all this stuff in Hollywood, the rappers, the actors, all of these people who turned from the straight path and went to dark ways, who delight in doing wrong and rejoice in the perverseness of evil, whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. Wisdom will save you also from the adulterous woman, yep, from the wayward woman with her seductive words, who has left the partner of her youth and ignored the covenant she made before Yah. Surely her house leads down to death, and her paths to the spirits of the dead. None who go to her return or attain the paths of life. Thus you will walk in the ways of good and keep the paths of the righteous, for the upright will live in the land, and the blameless will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the unfaithful will be torn from it. So, welcome to Black History Month. We have to understand that the scriptures is a book written to black folks. I keep saying it. And Christians will tell you, no, it's not. It's written to the world, it's written to the church. The Bible ain't written to the church. The Bible is written to Israel. Read it for yourself. My son, do as your ancestors have done, or don't do as your ancestors have done. I've only come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Yo, I have given you all this land, Israel. Don't do like your ancestors did when they provoked me in the wilderness. That's written to the church. I'm just asking. I see the scriptures written to Israel. And like I said, the Bible's a black book. And it's black history. And the Proverbs is African Proverbs. It's African history. It's African culture. It is part of our heritage that we lost. It is part of our culture. It is part of our historical legacy. It's a part of our traditions. It's a part of our belief systems. It's a part of our values. It's a part of our knowledge and our practices. It's a part of our community. So they then stole your heritage, as prophesied in Jeremiah 17:4, and thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thy heritage. But now we have found who we are. We have found our heritage. And you know that, and you know, we hear this 100 times. We hear this. Yakoba, there's no Jew, Greek, male, female. You know that. Yeah, I know. That's what they keep telling me. They keep telling me there's no more Jew, Greek. But you know what? I say, y'all have a problem. You know what problem is? Keeping scripture in context. We're talking about salvation in that context. We ain't talking about the people who the Bible was written to, who turned away from their God, who went into captivity worldwide, who was scattered amongst the nations as slaves. I'm just saying, that's what I see in my Bible. So when we discovered who we are, and we find out who we were, and we saw how Deuteronomy 28 applies to us, and we start looking at the history of our people and how we were in Spain and Portugal and how they sent us to Angola and Sao Tome, and now we understand that the Bible is an African book. And they took our book and they put a little Greek twist on it, put a little Greek translation on it. Now the words are good. But just like they stole our identity, they stole our Bible. Just as they stole us, they stole our heritage. Just like they steal today. They steal our inventions. They steal our writings. They say they wrote it when they didn't, when they white out everything, right? Just as they do that, they did the same thing with the scriptures. They started with the Bible. The Bible's black history. And we don't need Black History Month because we got Black History Life. And we got our history written on those scrolls that y'all call the Bible. And then some of y'all want to take away some of our scrolls and say, oh, you ain't got to read that because it ain't canon. Oh, we decided for you that the Apocrypha ain't no good, so you don't need to read. Nah, we going to read that. Because the Bible's black history. Proverbs is African Proverbs. And we don't need nobody to tell us anything else. And that's another point. They stole all our artifacts, put them in the British Museum. They done all that. I feel like Killmonger when he went into that museum. He like, nah, we're going to take that. We're going to get it all back. I told y'all, I like Killmonger. When in the beginning, everybody was, for your boy T'Challa, and T'Challa, all right. But T'Challa wants us to be that passive Israelite. T'Challa wants us to be that one who gets along with the Gentiles and try to get along with the world governmental system. Nah, we're not going to do that. We're not going along with the world order. No, we're not going along with the Great Reset. Because if you didn't know, and I'm going to say it here, this whole war thing that's coming to your door, it's all about the Great Reset. It's all about the Great Reset. See, y'all got to keep it focused. What's happening with the balloons? It's all about the Great Reset. What's happening with them burning all of the places that produce the food and the plants and all this stuff, and the lack of chickens? It's all with the Great Reset. Why? They're going to make you bend over and submit. They're going to turn off your electricity. They're going to turn off your water. They're going to turn off your food. And they're going to say, obey us or starve. While China comes to get their money. See, they can't write a check big enough to pay China back. So they got some land they're going to come and take. See, y'all don't understand what's going on. It's a reorganization of world power. I know I'm getting off track because I was talking about the African proverb. But it all comes together. Why? Because it affects you black folks. Ain't no 400-year prophecy. I know. That's what they keep telling me. But when I'm sitting there in the land, I don't want to see certain faces. When we back in the land, I don't want to hear it. All you haters, all you ones who've been tearing us down, all of you who've been saying no 400 years, I know y'all think I'm whining, but here's the thing. I think a blind man can see what's happening today. And if you can't see what's happening today, you worse than a blind man. I'm sorry, you worse than the blind man if you can't see what's happening today. You best know who you are. You best know who your God is. You best make sure you line up with his word. You best make sure you're born again of the Spirit. Oh, yeah, Brother Eric, I don't want to hear nothing from them haters, dude. When we back in the land, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't even want to see them. Because if I see you, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say I want an apology. I know I ain't going to get it. Oh, yeah. Some of y'all going to need to apologize. And I ain't going to say I told you so. You know that, right? I ain't going to say it. I ain't going to say I told you so for like, what, how many years now? Oh, what you see in your Yakoba don't mean nothing. This is our land. We supposed to be fighting for America. This is where we're from. You don't understand, Yakoba. This is our home. This is where we really, it wasn't no slave trade. Now I'm off on a tangent, family. I'm off on a tangent. I had to say something. Because the times are near. And I do agree with some of the people that what you've seen with the balloons is a psyop. Why? Because we're going to war. Why? Because we are in war. Did you not know? Maybe I'll talk about this later. I don't know. I'm sort of tired right now because do you not know Putin say, look, y'all got 72 hours? Putin said, y'all got 72 hours and we might change our minds about using those nukes. I'm just saying, I don't know. It might be fake news. I don't know. But I could see the signs of the time. I could see them bird pains getting closer and closer together. Maybe it's just me. I've gone too far for him, man. This is supposed to be about Black History Month, but guess what? We about to find out about Black history when we on that continent. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how much time we got left. I can't say. I ain't no private. I just know what I see. I just know what I see, and it don't look good for you Gentiles. I'm sorry. Some of us Israelites might not make it either. So I'm just making sure I'm right with the Most High. I want to make sure I've done my work. I want to make sure I didn't dotted the I's and crossed the T's, and so that by the grace of Yahuwah, I can hear, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant, coming to my rest." That's all. That's it. I'm not warning no more. It's too late. If you ain't changed now, you ain't gonna change. I told y'all already. I ran already over there in Latin America, over there in Brazil, and all these places. Iran got ships over there, military ships on this side of the planet. I'm just, some of y'all slow. China supposedly flying balloons over America. Some of y'all slow. China and Russia got submarines over there on the east and west coast, but some of y'all slow. It don't mean nothing, Yakoba. Ain't no 400-year prophecy. I don't care. I'll see y'all on the land. I hope y'all like this teaching about the African tradition. This is my Black history teaching for the month. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Love you with the love of the Messiah. And maybe we'll talk about this later. We'll see. And support the Dry Bones Project.